Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help you make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marla Goldberg, and yes, you're listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm so glad you're with us. I wanted to make a quick little statement about the Wisconsin Mask Company. So it's wisconsinmask.com. It's a new company manufacturing medical masks to keep us safe. And I have to tell you, for those who are watching visually, I have one in my hand, and it is so much softer than the other masks that I have tried. On top of it, I'm an asthmatic, and I can wear this mask and breathe easier than I can with the average mask. So there's a promotion going on of Save 20, so saving 20% on your order if you go to wisconsinmask.com. And when you check out, the promo code is SAVE20 to save 20%. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by this mask, because I know I'm not. And there's even tips on how not to fog up your glasses while you're wearing your masks. So that's an important thing for us glass wearers, right? Anyway, okay, thank you for listening. We have today Dr. Jim Alvino, and Jim is an international business coach, speaker trainer, author, spiritual entrepreneur. Jim founded Monetize Your Niche in 2009, which helps entrepreneurs pursue their passion for profit. Since then, he has been an independent business coach for the JT Foxx Organization, a lifelong student of personal development. Dr. Alvino has acquired certifications in law of attraction, meditation instruction, quantum activism, and Ho'oponopono. Say that 5 times quickly. The secret Hawaiian problem-solving system, which we're going to talk about. His book, The Explorer's Guide to the Law of Attraction, has been described as insightfully connecting the dots between law of attraction, science, and spirituality. So Dr. Jim has a PhD in philosophy from Boston College, and we're going to learn more about him right now. Welcome, Dr. Jim.
Marla, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
My pleasure. I never call you Dr. Jim, but for the show, I'm doing that.
It works.
So let's start at the beginning, okay? Because you're taking the left brain and the right brain and working it together, but you started as a left brain business coach. So let's talk about how you started there and how you actually morphed into the more spiritual and right brain belief system of the law of attraction.
Sure. Actually, I didn't quite start as a left brain business coach.
Oh.
I had an affinity for consciousness studies long before I became a business coach. As a matter of fact, my PhD from Boston College is in consciousness studies. So I always had an affinity and propensity for this sort of thing. But the real world also intrudes on what we most like to do. And I became an executive director of 3 national organizations for a decade. I also ran a publishing company, became a business coach in 2009 with Monetize Your Niche, and met JT Foxx actually sometime thereafter and became one of JT's coaches. And I'm still a JT coach. I'm very grateful for him for giving me the opportunity to coach with the program. It has done a lot for me, and I hope I've done a lot for my coaching students. During this period, however, with that interest, that abiding interest in my personality as leaning toward consciousness studies, leaning toward philosophy of mind, which in philosophical terms is called philosophical idealism, I came across studies of law of attraction, first with Michael Loge, who's a Canadian law of attraction specialist and coach. I got certification with Michael. And what I try to do, Marla, is blend all the experience that I have as a association director, as a publisher, as a business coach, and as someone who loves law of attraction and the whole notion of being able to create the life we live, I try to blend that into everything I do. And you mentioned that, yes, I'm a lifelong student of personal development. Whatever I'm doing in personal development at the moment, I strive to integrate that into my life and my coaching.
And isn't that the best way of becoming an expert in what you do? Integrating it into your own life. It's not just learning it and teaching it to somebody else, but actually living it, walking it, talking it, breathing it, eating it, etc.
Exactly. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah, I think that's the really the strongest form of integration one can do for themselves.
I can't do what I've learned about myself is I can't do what I'm not passionate about. So when I get passionate about something, I can integrate it into my life. If I'm not passionate, it's not going to get in there.
See, I feel the same way because I used to be in sales for a long time and I only sold what I believed in, because if someone said, so my husband's in electronics, well, that's dry as dirt to me. That's like dry toast. Could I go out and do it? Maybe. Would I be great at it? No, because I don't have that excitement, that passion of what that entails.
Yes.
And so I find the trick to success really is finding something that you're passionate about, that makes your heart sing, because once you do, it's never work.
So the tagline, since we're talking about passion, the tagline of my company, Monetize Your Niche, is helping entrepreneurs pursue their passion for profit. And it's a double entendre. To pursue their passion for profit and pursue their passion for profit. So this is how I approach my coaching business.
Which is fascinating. So let's talk about how you put together the science and the spiritual side, the right brain, the left brain, and then the whole spirit above, and how it all connects. It's like a triangle in a sense.
And in a sense, it is with consciousness, with a capital C, being at the apex of that triangle. In my book, Explorer's Guide to the Law of Attraction, I say my abiding notion or principle is that consciousness creates everything. We are that consciousness, and we are empowered and responsible to create our life, our future, and our destiny. And that follows, once again, it follows from my philosophical studies of philosophical idealism. Everything is mind, everything is consciousness. They're even including the world. So when we say there is no out there, it means there is no independent existence independent of consciousness. So that is fundamentally the science. It's quantum science, really, underlying law of attraction. Some people think of it as woo-woo, and there have been programs and movies and so forth that have given it that impression.
Yes.
Say a few mantras and things will drop into your lap and life is, happy ever after. But in truth, attraction is endorsed by action, and at its roots is quantum science. At its roots is the notion that everything is energy, everything is energetically connected, and there are several principles that actually make it possible for us to create the life we desire, the life we seek to attract for ourselves.
Let's share some of those principles with our listeners.
Okay. Number one is that everything is energy. And really, Einstein was probably the first with equals MC squared to identify energy and matter. So even though, this desk is hard, it seems solid, it seems on the outside of me, it is still energy that's vibrating at a very dense frequency. Our consciousness, on the other hand, is vibrating at a very refined, at a very high frequency. So principle number one, really, equals MC squared, energy and matter are identical. Second is, therefore, everything is connected. Absolutely everything is connected, and we call that the quantum field. Or if you're coming from a more spiritual place, I had an interesting little encounter with an Indian meditation master quite a few years ago in India, where he was giving a lecture and someone asked, well, Master, what is the quantum field then? And immediately he said Brahman. So he identified the quantum field with the highest transcendental self, the highest of God, basically. Three principles within quantum, though, are operative. The one is called non-locality. And I think, actually, Marla, you know these things, as do our listeners. Might not know the language game we play with quantum physics, but one is non-locality. What's that mean? That means that there is a region beyond localized space and time in which everything is connected. Okay, so
Yes.
we know that. Then we know entangled hierarchy. Entangled hierarchy is just a way to say, hey, we're all entangled, we're all connected. How else do you explain where you could be thinking about somebody a cosmos away and all of a sudden they call you and we say, oh, what a great coincidence. Well, not really. There have been no coincidences. There have been many scientific experiments in quantum that demonstrate when two entities or two consciousnesses, two people even, are connected in some way, and you stimulate one, the other is stimulated in this simultaneously in the same section of the brain. So tangled hierarchy is the other second principle. And the third principle in your basic repertoire of quantum activist principles is discontinuity. So that discontinuity is the aha experience in consciousness. Everything's going along, whoop, there's a rupture, if you will. There's a surprise. And that surprise is a discontinuous, random outburst of energy. And when we're in the problem-solving mode, that's the aha experience, and that's where we sometimes get our insights and our solutions, our inspirations. So those are the three principles that underlie law of attraction. And there's one more, if I may,
sure, please,
take 30 seconds on this. And that is, it occurred to me one day that the law of attraction is actually a derivative law, and much more primary is something that I have called the law of quantum observation. And it's based on Heisenberg principle, and there are other quantum physicists that are actually more radical than Heisenberg. But essentially, things come into existence through observation. So my good friend, Dr. Amit Goswami, he and I have had conversations about this, and he said, yes, you can use that language, or you can use my language, the observer effect, but without the observer effect, without the law of quantum observation, there would be no manifest universe. And I'll let it go at that.
Well, which is amazing. And so what people, they watch some movies. The one that comes up is always The Secret, because they give you part of those philosophies or the steps on they say, yes, you can do this, but they really don't tell you how to do this. And what I believe they also don't share with you is how important words, thoughts, and actions are to what putting out and what you get back. I call it the boomerang effect. I don't know what it goes into with your principles, where it fits, but I always talk to people about being very, very cautious about words, thoughts, deeds, because once you put them out there, it'll come smacking back at you tenfold. So why not send out nice things? Even if you're angry at somebody, don't send out daggers, send out love, and just wish them an interesting life and let it come back to them. How do you feel about that and how that works for people?
Well, two things. Actually, that was a really packed question, a really fun question. I had a breakthrough coach many, many years ago who was fond of saying, your word is your law and nothing comes back void. Okay, so
I love that.
It's basically what you're saying. Be vigilant. We all understand it as, what goes around comes around, or people understand it as karma, good karma, bad karma, and so forth. But the primacy of love is absolutely true. Interesting that you brought up the movie The Secret too, because as you know, Dr. Joe Vitale was very instrumental in The Secret.
Yes.
And he and others have acknowledged the limitation to The Secret. It doesn't tell you how to do it. It gives you the wrong impression about what law of attraction is. And to be honest with you, there was a movie that preceded The Secret, What the Bleep Do We Know, that I think is a superior movie, and
It's a great movie.
Great movie. It goes into quantum physics and so
Yes.
forth. But Joe Vitale, right now, since you brought up Ho'oponopono, I recently acquired practitioner certification in Ho'oponopono, and Joe is so beyond the secret right now, and so beyond setting intentions, and just acknowledging the primacy of love to connect you directly to the divine, and let the divine do some work for you in clearing out those negative thoughts and emotional addictions, and what Joe and Dr. Hugh Len call memories. What they really are shared programs. We share programs together, and if we clear these out, we can open ourselves. We can get to what's called point zero and open ourselves to divine inspiration. But you're right; it starts with love. It starts with love.
Truly starts with love. And let's explain that Joe Vitale, at some point was broke as a joke. He, had no money, and at a certain point he turned his life around by following the things, the belief systems and the actions that he now portrays into his teachings.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Indeed.
it's important people know that he didn't start out with a silver spoon in his mouth.
No,
and just parlayed from there. He, worked hard, and that's where he is from. That's how it went.
Well, and you're also reflecting the value of coaching, the value of personal development, the value of working on mindset. I'm reminded of something that Jim Rohn once said, great American business philosopher, and he talked about, the goal. People always have a goal to make $1 million, and it seems to be the first big goal. And he said, it's not the $1 million that's important. It's who you have to become to make the $1 million. So it's all about personal transformation at its roots before you are able to actually before you develop and have the psychology that would support you in that kind of wealth.
And it's such an important topic, because there are many people who just sit there and say, okay, I'm positive, but yet the things that they'll spew out of their mouth when they're angry or disappointed, I know that it like rocks me to my core, because it's like, watch what you say. It's one of the things I do. And then people are like, oh, stop saying that, but to me, it's really important to be, like you said, very vigilant. As I love Don Ruiz Senior's, was it Don Miguel Ruiz's Senior, the 4 agreements, being impeccable with your word. And that is so important in to anybody's transformation, is learning how to be impeccable with their word. So when you find that you do something or say something that might be I call it human, somebody cuts you off, or, there's a fear factor or something, and you go, you blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything that you do to clear that energy?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I use several different things, to be honest with you. One, I use a mantra from my meditation instruction, and a couple Indian mantras I use. But now, because I happen to have Ho'oponopono on the brain, being most recently certified as a practitioner, I use, I use the Ho'oponopono 4 statements that kind of clear that negativity out. And it starts with, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, which is much misconstrued. Maybe we can talk about that in a few minutes.
Oh, I'd love to, because we're going to go on a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that. And the last thing you say is,
thank you.
I love you, I'm sorry,
That's
please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that we're going to go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned, so we have more great conversation with Dr. Jim Alvino.
All right, perfect. Good job. All clear. Back in about 2.
Excuse me 1 second. I dropped your intro. And I'm like trying to find it with my foot while we were doing the first segment. So I apologize.
Very
So
cool.
good. Well, I think JT will be very happy at all the
Well, I
information.
hope so. He does need his due, and he gave me a lot of opportunity, which I acted on, I will say. And many times it was like, Jim, can you do this? Can you go to Toronto? Boom. It was yes. It was always yes. It
Well,
was
and
the
that's,
yes energy, you know.
isn't that the success, the whole, one of the big things about success is saying yes, being
Yeah.
open. Yeah, because if you're not open and you say, and you go, oh, I don't want this opportunity, I don't want that opportunity, you're not going to get where you want to go. I know I'm a personal person who I had someone tell me in 2017, she said to me, she goes, Marla, you've had so many opportunities. Why have you turned them all down? Like, how are you going to get where you want to go if you don't take the chance? And I took 2018 to make it a year of yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we
And
can talk about yes energy too. Yes energy is really great. People will love it.
It's good because I think it's really important for people to understand how they can turn things around in their lives and say yes. I know that somebody I was out of work. I said, oh, why don't you start a poop pickup business, right? Or a dog walking business, because you make so much money. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. It's that way for a reason. And the response was, you go pick up crap. Well, you know what? If I was out of a job and I didn't have money to pay my bills and somebody suggested it,
You could do that.
I
You
would do
do.
that. I spoke
Yeah.
to a woman who started this business in the Chicagoland area. And within 3 years, she was in 6 figures with 3 trucks, 3 teams going out to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was happy because it was for somebody who lived out of state. So she was happy to share the information because it wasn't a competition for her. But the reality too isn't this a part of the law of attraction? There is no competition, not real
That's right.
competition.
Exactly. I mean, if there's any competition, it's with yourself getting over that there's competition.
Right. Because there's enough in the world for everyone.
Total abundance.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in, but we're just about to come back to you.
Thank you. Going to start with
You are
Ho'oponopono.
listening to
we
Guided
left
Spirit
off.
Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, I'm talking to Dr. Jim Alvino. Jim is an international business coach, speaker trainer, author, spiritual entrepreneur. He had founded Monetize Your Niche in 2009, which helps entrepreneurs pursue their passion for profit. And he also is an independent business coach for JT Foxx Organization and is a lifelong student of personal development. Jim has recently acquired a certification in the following: meditation instruction, law of attraction, quantum activism, and Ho'oponopono, his latest acquisition of certification. And he has also written a book called Explorer's Guide to the Law of Attraction. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you, Marla. Nice to be here.
My pleasure. So, how do you prefer people to find you? Through email?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
best. Yeah.
So if you want to call and talk to Jim, the number is 888-346-9141. You can email Jim at jimalvino, and that's ALVINO.com. And you have a website, which is jimalvino.com. So if you want to find out everything that Jim does and how he can help you, this is how you can do it. So we left off, we were talking about Ho'oponopono, the 4 statements you make, and how it clears to 0 point.
Yes. Yes.
And
Okay.
let's start with the 4 words, the 4 sentences you say in statement are.
Okay. Before we go there, I
Okay.
have to say that I'm new at this. I'm not an expert at it. I'm not a teacher of it. I don't want to claim to be something that I'm not. However, I'm finding it extremely helpful
And powerful.
and absolutely powerful. And it's an entirely different paradigm. Let me talk a little bit about that, and I'll go into the 4 statements if I may.
Okay.
We know as personal development people or as law of attraction people, we're fond of saying our inner world creates our outer world. We're fond of saying that. We're fond of saying we're not victims. We have to take 100% responsibility for ourselves.
Yes.
Well, Ho'oponopono, actually a modern iteration of that called self-identity Ho'oponopono by Dr. Hugh Len, is founded on taking 100% responsibility for everything in our experience. And if we heal our inside, we can then heal our outside. We can heal other people. So let's say, Marla, you and I are having a conversation and you say something and something comes up for me. Something gets triggered. Maybe something negative, maybe I'm a little squirmy or whatever it is. Ho'oponopono is going to ask, not, why did she do that? Ho'oponopono is going to ask, what inside me needs to be corrected or healed on the basis of what just got triggered? And the reason is I'm taking 100%, if I'm taking 100% responsibility for my life and my experience, you're in it. You're a part of it. So I'm taking 100% responsibility. That 100% responsibility includes you. The goal of Ho'oponopono is to clear out what are called memories, but memories should be interpreted as shared programs, conditioning, things like that that get in our way. Negative thinking, emotional addictions, anything that you can think of that keeps us stuck. And the point of it all is to get back to what's called point zero. Point zero is where we started. Point zero is where the divine manifested creation, and we in its image, if you will, and I don't mean that as in any specific religious context, but we are a part of the divine. So Ho'oponopono is a way to get directly in touch with the divine and ask for the divine's help in correcting whatever memories, whatever programming, whatever errors, whatever we have done or are thinking that is screwing up our vision, so that we can get back to a more divine vision. So it starts with, I love you. And the I love you is a direct connection to the divine. Many traditions have acknowledged that God or the divine or transcendental self, universal consciousness, universal intelligence, however you wish to define it, is love and light. So by proclaiming it, we immediately connect to the divine. When we say I'm sorry, and when we say please forgive me, we are acknowledging that, hey, we've allowed ourselves to be vulnerable to the myriad of contagions in the world, including negative people and programs and what have you. And sorry for that. I really screwed up. Right. I'm better than that. I'm divine. I reflect you. And the please forgive me here's the one that can be misconstrued, and I find it most challenging, but I've listened to Joe Vitale over and over, and he describes it this way. When we say I'm sorry, we're not saying to the divine, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for messing up. What we're saying to the divine is we're asking for help of the divine to help us forgive ourselves for being vulnerable, for accepting this negativity, this program, for
any indiscretions we might have had.
Indiscretions, even down to the garbage you might watch on TV on a day-by-day basis, because garbage in, garbage out. Right. And we're all better than that. We're all better than that, but we allow ourselves to get contaminated. So, and this is, again, I'm not a teacher of it. I'm still learning of it. I'm putting it through my filter. but this is how I interpret it, and this is how it works for me. And what Dr. Len calls and what Joe calls, it's called clean. We do the 4 statements to clean that crap out so we can be open to inspiration.
Do they tell you how long you need to make those statements for? Is it sitting down and doing it for 5 minutes at a time, 2 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time? I know that that's one thing nobody ever shared with me was how long one might need to do this, or in how many, like 5 minute, 10-minute segments one needs to do until they feel they're back at point zero.
I don't know how the answer to answer the question, how long you need to do it. I'll tell you what I do. And I'll tell you what Dr. Len is the teacher. So he is incessantly cleaning, okay? Because he says you can never get rid of all the garbage that's coming in. Never, 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 never. And we think that with our intentions, to make that $1 billion or to have a dream home or to meet the ideal mate and so forth, we think our intentions are going to bring it about. But no, he says, what we need to do is clean all the cobwebs, clean everything that's blocking our vision of point zero or getting to point zero and allowing the divine inspiration to come through. What I do is when I can remember, I'll do the clearing. When something comes up, I like to do things this probably has to be cleaned. I like to do things in terms of triads. I like to do things in terms of trilogies and threes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I will do that 3 times. But I will also do that on the guidance of Dr. Len to install the clearing in your unconscious, in your subconscious, which is basically to say to yourself, hey, keep doing this, even though I'm not conscious of it. At night these days, that's how I will go to sleep. And with the notion that it's continuing as I'm sleeping.
I like that, because there's many ways you can set an intention, because that's what it is. The intention of continuing the cleaning, though you're not consciously doing it, continue it on. It's like an auto button.
Yeah.
Which is great. So I know that we were talking about, you have a meditation that works with the law of attraction. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, something like that. Well, it's based on, yes, it works with law of attraction, and it's based on a couple different things. I'm also very fond of the work of Joe Dispenza. And Joe takes a different approach for eradicating what's at our subconscious level that really is keeping us from becoming somebody different, from changing your personality. So he talks about in order to change your personal reality, you need to change your personality. In order to change your personality, you need to change your state of being, how you think, feel, and act. And he's a firm believer that before we can do this, we have to get our arms around how are we behaving? What do we need to change? What is going on beneath the surface that needs to be rectified in order for us to become somebody new, become somebody different, expand our paradigms, get what we desire even. So I take that approach as well, and he has a very systematic way of meditating to, number one, get at what's underneath, get at what you want to change, right? He calls it breaking the habit of being yourself. How do you get to those things that you want to first obliterate before you can be somebody better in your own mind? And then you turn your attention to that person that you want to become. So on the basis of that, and on the basis of law of quantum observation, or the observer effect, or the Heisenberg principle, meaning that we do observe our reality into existence, which means we would observe our new self into existence, I created a little something that is kind of a third person meditation, where you are observing yourself, but it's your ideal self. It's your avatar, it's your ideal self. So I might in meditation say, look at Jim Alvino. I so admire him. Look what he has done. He's so full of love. He's so full of abundance. He serves so many people. I want to be like him. He is so great, So I'm actually embellishing in a third party sort of way that person I want to be, and a la dispensa, I'm grateful for that person. I'm grateful for that person, and this is tricky, in the future for having become that. Oh, look, he has achieved everything he set out to achieve. He's living a beautiful life. It's abundant. He's happy. He's joyful. He's free. Oh, I so love that. I so love him. And I'm so grateful that I was able to manifest this as myself, So you're actually seeing the trick in meditation, and it is a challenge, is to be grateful for a future that hasn't happened yet, but you're grateful for it as though it has.
So you're grateful for it in the present.
You're grateful for it in the present, but it's the future event that you are grateful for in this present. Two things about that: thought and feeling have to be in alignment, and you have to believe in that meditation that the thought or the meditation itself is the greater experience than what's when you're come out of meditation. So that thought itself, is more real than where you are in your life right now.
So, and here's the thing, don't second guess yourself, don't judge yourself, and don't say, well, that'll never happen when you come out, because then you're right, it will never happen. You've got to keep, right, when you come out of this meditation following your guidance, one needs to keep the thing saying, yeah, that was great, and I'm going to focus on that because then I can manifest it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so I know your listeners would understand this. So when I'm looking at the ideal Jim Alvino, I want you looking at the ideal Marla Goldberg, and so forth and so on. But to distance yourself, third person yourself, you're actually observing yourself in a way that
roles you want to be.
That's exactly right.
That's perfect. Let's change direction real quick. Let's talk about yes energy, because on the break we were talking about how my year of yes, which is now 3 years of yes, but I keep saying yes to everything. Let's talk about yes energy and how that works, how that plays into things.
Absolutely. It's a matter of seize the opportunity. It's say yes, and figure out the how and the who later. Okay, figure out the how and the who later. I did this a lot in the early years of my coaching, in the early relationship with JT Foxx. JT would ask me, Jim, can you go to Toronto? We have a training to do. Can you be a speaker? Yes. And I'll figure out how I'm going to get there. And I'll figure out the details, and I'll figure out what I'm going to say. So that's just one example, but opportunities come up, and when they come up, we need a fast analysis of whether it's some memory, some conditioning, some samskara, as Indian philosophy calls it, or some inspiration. But act on the inspiration. Speed of implementation is absolutely key. When you have the inspiration, and clean on that, Marla, say 3 times. Go through the 4 sets of statements 3 times and try to assess, is this real inspiration, or is this an old piece of a Marla that I want to transcend coming back? Is it an old behavior I really want to overcome, or is this a new insight, a new inspiration, and I want to run with it?
Which is brilliant. Let's stop here because we have to take a break. We'll talk more with Dr. Jim Alvino when we get back. Please stay tuned.
All right, terrific. Good job. All clear. Back
Thank
into.
you. Good.
Good.
We got it in.
Excellent.
Is there anything
Good.
I'm missing that you want to? We're going to talk about the class after the charity shout out.
Yeah. Yeah. What did I give you as charity? Prasad.org, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can say a little bit more about that because that is a project of my meditation path. So if it's okay, I can give 30 seconds background of all that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I always ask you to talk about why it's a passion of yours. But we only have like a very short window, so I want to be able to get your class in
Sure.
afterwards. So I just want you to be a little cognizant of
Yeah.
a little bit of a time challenge. It goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It's so much fun. We could talk forever on this stuff.
Oh, you and I can talk forever anyway.
Yeah, this is true.
I know. When they put us together, they knew.
Well, they definitely knew. They definitely knew, you know.
So I just got a text saying we can hear you talking at the break. Well, that's because we want you to hear you talking in the break.
Okay.
That's what the whole behind the scene video thing is. So I want to explain that so everyone knows. You know, this is done on purpose because we want to let you have more great conversation between Jim and I or whoever my guest is, because sometimes we get into such meaty conversations off air. And why should somebody lose out on those pearls of wisdom?
Absolutely.
So, okay, that's explained. So hopefully now moving forward, all is good. And we go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds really good. Okay, I think we're going to have you back again, Dr. Jim, because there's so much information.
I would be delighted. Absolutely delighted.
All right, 15 seconds so we come back.
Thank you.
Empowerment.com.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So during the break, Dr. Jim and I were talking, and for those of you who just tuned in, I am talking with Dr. Jim Alvino. And Jim is an international business coach, speaker, trainer, author, and spiritual entrepreneur. Jim founded Monetize Your Niche in 2009, and then moved into business coaching with JT Foxx Organization. In addition, he has authored The Explorer's Guide to the Law of Attraction. So welcome back, Jim, and we're going to move right into charity shout out. And your charity shout out for this program is, am I saying this right? Prasad.org?
Prasad.org.
Okay, so tell us about Prasad.org, how you got interested in and why it's such a viable not-for-profit to support.
Absolutely. And I support it every month, just so you know, it's something where I do a automatic monthly donation. So I want people to understand that I literally support this, as well as tout it as a good charity. It helps economically disadvantaged people all around the world. It happens to be a project of my meditation path. My meditation path is Siddha Yoga. I've been on that path for 32 years.
Wow.
Under the head of Guru Mai Chidvilasananda, Indian guru who is the head of the Siddha lineage and head of this path. And it is through Siddha Yoga, Marla, that I became a meditation instructor. I became certified meditation instructor, and I would go into the federal prisons in California and work with the inmates. We would teach them meditation, we would do chanting, we would do yoga. And I always looked at it as God's way to help me do easy time. It's any of us could have been busted for anything in our lives.
Mhm.
And the guys that we know that, right? The guys that I worked with were guys that got caught where I didn't. So I went in and I helped them learn meditation and do meditation. So this is my way of supporting City Yoga. This is my way of supporting the charity donation. It works with communities all over the world in farming. There's an eye camp that is very significant in correcting vision and other kinds of eye problems that people have all over the world. So I'm very happy to support this, and every month I do, and I'm looking for the day where I can actually increase my monthly donations. So that's one of my goals with Prasad, but I invite anybody to check it out. You'll like what you see. And if it resonates with you, please donate.
Okay, so you can look them up at www, and I'm going to spell this, prasad.org. Again, prasad.org. Please check them out and see if that resonates with you, because it helps so many. So, and this is what we want to do, is help as many as we possibly can. I want to talk to you about, you have an upcoming class with a special person is being part of it with you. I'm going to open up the floor for you to share what the class is, how they sign up for the class, who's involved in the class, and
Sure.
What people are going to be able to get out of the class.
All right. So I've created a course, or in the process of creating a course. A detailed outline is in the works, and I'm beginning to record segment by segment. It's a 6-hour course, 12 30-minute segments. They will run long, I'm sure, but it's billed as 12 30-minute segments on the psychology of manifestation. And essentially it takes everything that, some of which we've talked about today, but everything that I'm interested in and that I'm able to synthesize and integrate into my life and into my coaching, and breaks it down for people. And I'm very honored to have a superb human being working with me by the name of Endre Balog. Endre is a violin virtuoso. He's played with philharmonics all over the world. He is one of the world's authorities in sacred geometry. And I've enlisted Endre. He does beautiful work. I've enlisted Endre to do this with me. So we are going to have 12 30-minute segments. Yes, there's going to be lecture, there's going to be interaction, but there's going to be beautiful original compositions by Endre with the background of his sacred geometry. There are going to be beautiful meditations in each segment. And we're very, very excited. I'm very excited about this. When I decided to do it, my first question is, does the world need another one of these? And I do. I needed to express this as because this is me, and it gets into the spirituality. Marla described me as a spiritual entrepreneur. I do have a full-fledged presentation on spiritual entrepreneurism that I delivered in India a few years ago, and I'll be doing that again. But this is what this course is all about. I'm all about doing something different, innovating, disrupting what's already out there. This is not going to be your usual ho-hum law of attraction course again. If it were that, you don't need it. What you need is the stimulation. What I can provide for you is the stimulation and the beauty. And with Endre agreeing to do this with me, there is clearly nothing like it out there. So I invite you to email me, jim@jimalvino.com, for a pre-application. Again, we're in the process of putting it all together, finalizing it, recording it, and once it's out there, it'll be up on the website. And I look forward to doing this with all of your listeners, Marla, who might be interested. thank you for that opportunity and sharing the course.
It's and also, if you want to check out everything else that Jim does, check out his website at www.jimalvino.com. So
Wonderful.
I know it's
Thank
going to
you.
be a fabulous course. And I think it's worth the price of admission.
Indeed.
So let's see, what have we not talked about? The psychology of manifestation. So we talked about the program, but is there anything you can add to that statement, the psychology of manifestation, that we haven't touched upon in the few minutes we have left?
Well, it's titled The Psychology of Manifestation, as opposed to philosophy of manifestation or anything else, to reflect that the work that is done is deep work. It's deep work, just like in Ho'oponopono and really in law of attraction, in quantum work, it's deep work. And that we have to get to the quantum field. We have to access the quantum field, or others in the psychological tradition might call it the collective subconscious. But we have to access that in order to make the changes that we want to change. And even if your goal, if anyone's goal is simply more money, okay, your psychology has to support that new goal, or you will never reach that goal. So psychology, we're going deep, Marla, and I think that that's really what's intended and what's indicated here. Let's lay bare all the stuff on the surface and beneath that's getting in the way. Let's understand that. Let's clear it out, and let's build a new blueprint for ourselves and move forward.
Because when you clear out, all these things that are holding you back, just if you looked at those things like adding to an anchor to hold you down, and then you release this and you release this and you release this, all of a sudden it lightens up and you can now become buoyant again instead of being pulled and dragged down.
Exactly.
So it meets you where you are. Your desires and intentions meet you where you are. So if you intend a great relationship, but you're in this really dark place, you're going to attract somebody that's vibrating at that level with you. I know that's a woo-woo statement, vibrating, but...
Oh, but everything does vibrate. It's not woo-woo, it is science. So everything is vibrating at a frequency, including, as I said, the desk, the chair we're sitting in. Everything is frequency specific to whom you are, everything in your life, okay? And it just is the way it is. Real quickly, if I may, Dr. David Hawkins has put together a map of consciousness that goes from 0 to 1,000. At 1,000 are your avatars: Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and the likes.
Right.
But there are levels on the map of consciousness that are levels to be avoided. Anything under 200, for example, anger, jealousy, negativity, pride, all of these things will just suck us into a vortex. And as you go up the scale, you reach love, you reach unconditional love, and then you reach levels of enlightenment. One of the things that I've learned about in reading Dr. Hawkins and in reframing what I think of as law of attraction, Marla, is that we don't only attract into our lives what's there, we are attracted to certain levels of consciousness on that map of consciousness. And we can be deliberate about that. We can be deliberate about what level we're attracted to whom are we attracted, who are our mentors, our idols, so to speak. And so we pull in and we allow ourselves to be pulled toward. Let's be pulled toward the highest.
That's so true. So everyone out there, I can't believe it. Its time is up. Look and check out Dr. Jim Alvino at jimalvino.com. Check out his book, Explorer's Guide to the Law of Attraction. Jim's an amazing coach. You may want to work with him on that, both on a spiritual level and on a personal level. Jim, thank you. I know we have to have you back because there's so much more to talk about.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure. Tip of the iceberg. I also want to, again, mention Wisconsin Mask Company. It is a very soft mask that you are able to breathe through, which is so important, especially for me, who's an asthmatic. So if you look up wisconsinmask.com and at checkout, there's save 20 is the promotional code for a 20% discount. So don't lose that opportunity. Jim, again, thank you. I want to thank everyone at Voice America. You get my show up, you get it running, and I'm so grateful for you. I want to thank Bridget, my assistant, for also helping me, right arm, left arm. So grateful for her. And I'm grateful for you. And I say thank you for taking time out of your day, your life, to participate in this podcast. Because without you, we would not be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And that's offering you ways of shifting, changing, enhancing your life, however you want to do it. And so next week, we're going to have Pat Longo. It's a replay because I will be out of the office. But the following week, I will see you. And until then, I am sending you love. I'm sending you blessings. I'm sending you gratitude. Please be safe out there. Please be socially considerate of others. And until I'm back, stay well. Take care.